what makes a football club big? Is it trophies? Is it fan base? Is it money? Is it current form? These questions we will be answering tonight. I've got the usual suspects here. I've got Aubrey and I've got Gabriel.
Ops the ops.
Off the off.
Ops the ops.
Started every game with a bag full of dreams. On the WNFC turf, we sow the seams. Fans wild cheering from behind the team schemes. Loud like the subway, cutting through routines.
All right. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, Aubrey, let me start with you. When you say a club is big, right? Like, what does that mean to you exactly?
Well, like from the sentiment of a Chelsea fan. So like, let's put that aside. You get what I mean? Like I look at a football club through the lens of an like institution.
Okay.
Because like apart from the football that they play, these clubs are proper run business. So I divide this club into different types. There are some that I call traditional clubs.
Okay.
Why do I call them traditional clubs? This club, like like at least they've been in existence for over 100 years.
Okay.
And they've won like important trophies, and they're also part of the community. You get? Because there are some clubs that are inscribed in a particular community. Talking about clubs like Real Madrid.
Okay.
So if you're going to Madrid, I think Santiago Bernabeu is like a tourist attraction. So that is a community club.
Okay.
If you look at Barcelona, Barcelona is a community club. Clubs like Manchester United, those are traditional clubs. Like AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus. Even I would say even Arsenal is a traditional club.
Okay.
So, but then there are clubs that in recent years, through maybe rich people like buying the club and then like injecting funds into the club, have been able to rise to a certain standard. So those are new elite club.
Okay.
Club like City, PSG, even to some extent Chelsea.
Okay.
So yeah, all these are big clubs.
Okay.
So, but it depends on the lens you're looking at it from.
Okay, and we'll talk about that as we go on. So, Gabriel, do you agree with Aubrey's take, or how do you measure big clubs?
Yeah, I think it's more like he's coming from a good place.
Okay.
You understand, but some people it's sometimes opinions. You get it's based on opinion. For me, when I hear a big club, right, all I hear is history. Do you understand?
Okay.
History, pedigree, success. Do you understand?
Yeah.
History is very important when it comes to football. Like when people say stuff like, "Oh, Chelsea is like the 2000s club." That's when they really came into winning trophies. And I don't want to be biased about it, but a club like Chelsea only came into the big club status in the early 2000s and like say 2010s. That's when I would say Chelsea was like solidified as a big club. Okay. So I think history matters. Clubs like Barcelona, they've been in like for ages. They've always been competing in the highest level. Even Liverpool, you understand? If you look at what Liverpool
is a traditional club.
Listen, if you look at what Liverpool has achieved even before the 2000s, you understand? You will know that they are a big club, because if you look at it, even when they did not win the Premier League for 30 odd years, they were still winning Champions League trophies. You understand? Yeah. There are also clubs that, for me, it's just history.
Okay.
You get history really matters a lot. So if as a club you've been there for years, but you've just been dabbling mid-table, and you just keep mid-table.
Okay.
Like an example is Tottenham.
Okay, you know what? I hold that thought, right? And we'll come to that as the show goes on. So I was doing some thinking about this, right? And I wrote down some some criteria here, and I want us to dive into each of them and break down each of them. So I've written down here trophies, fan base, history, money, and then current success. So let's take it one by one, okay? So let's start with trophies. And the question I'm going to ask you now, Gabriel, is right. Does the number of trophies determine if a club is big or not?
Number of trophies.
Yes.
Yes, it is a determinant. It's not a standalone determinant. Do you get?
Okay.
It's not a standalone determinant, but it is one of the determinants.
Okay, Aubrey, do you agree with that?
Yeah, like to some extent, because when you're saying something is big, big is different from being the best. You can be big, but not the best.
Okay, but today's show is if a club is big
yeah.
or
So
not.
when you're saying something is big, there must be different things that makes that thing big. Longevity, history, just like you mentioned, fan base.
Yeah. But let's take it
Yeah, so
one after the other now.
trophies
Trophies now.
is one of the most important factor
Okay.
that makes a club big.
Okay, so if a club is defined as big, right?
Yeah.
Based on trophies now. So,
Yeah.
so if a club is not winning trophies, are they then not a big club?
Now, yes, that leads me to my next point.
Okay.
Some club lose their fear factor. Yeah, because you're big today doesn't mean you'll be big forever. So if you don't maintain a certain standard, there is
Okay.
a logic that you may fall off, and you can become a former big club.
Right.
For me, clubs like AC Milan are former big clubs.
Okay, so Aubrey has raised two good points in this show. Now, he talked about traditional clubs,
Yeah.
and now he's saying former big clubs. I mean, I like this. I mean, I really like this. Okay, former big club. AC Milan is a good example. So would you say Man United is a former big club?
Man United is slowly. Why I wouldn't say they are former big club? Because their financial standpoint is still very strong. You get what I mean? So yeah, they can go toe to toe with anybody in the market as regards paying for a player.
Okay, and that's why I wanted to break it down into these five arms, if you will.
Yeah.
Trophies, fan base,
Finance
money,
is very
history,
important, yeah.
money, finance, and history, and and current form.
Yeah.
But now, like what I want to do is to break them one after the other and not just lump them all together. So we're doing now,
Trophies.
the trophies. Okay, so if a club is not winning trophies now, but they were in the
were
past,
winning.
so you call them a former big club, right?
Yeah, it's not just about not
let me
winning.
get Gabriel.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Just before I give it to Gabriel, it's not just about not winning trophies over a certain period of time.
Okay.
It also has to do with where they are at the moment.
Okay.
You get a club like Man United, they haven't won any big trophy apart from like FA Cup. They haven't won any big trophy in the last. I think their last league was 2013. So the last 13 years. Okay, like Europa League. Yeah. So they haven't won a big trophy in that stretch of time. But I will still look at them as a big club. Why? Because their yearly turnover is still great.
Okay, we'll come to money. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so Gabriel, do you want to add to that, or should we go on to the next criteria?
Yes, I will, because if you look at it, right, what he said about AC Milan is AC Milan has all the history you could think of, pedigree in Serie A, championship, and everything. But you see that if you're not doing good business-wise, right, it reflects on your ability to win trophy, and now it reflects on your ability to compete. You get compete, win trophies, and it all. So you see, it's not a standalone. One thing leads to the other, and to the other, and you become a former big club. So I'll believe that if there's anything that is keeping a club like Man United, right, still at that position, a big club, is because at the end of the day, Man United can easily whip out 100 million, buy a player. If it doesn't work out, they still have a way of getting it back.
Yeah.
You understand? Another thing is that don't forget that Man United have they still have a fan base that understands what it is to win a trophy. You get? They still have fan base of guys in their 20s, 30s that have seen them win trophies.
Yeah.
You get? So, but if it was a situation where they have like lost that fan base understanding that it's clubs like Newcastle. There was a time Newcastle was really a hot club in England, but they dropped to relegation, had business issues and all those things. So when you see it, it's not just a standalone, it's an accumulation of ripple effect.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned fan base because that's the second criteria that we have. Now, let's talk about fan base, if that makes a club a big club or not. For example...
Just before, sorry for cutting you short. Just before we go
on to the next.
Okay. Let's also talk about trophies, like the kind of trophies.
Okay, that's a good take.
Yeah, the quality of trophies.
Trophy, right?
Because when you say a club is a big club, at least there's what we call like European pedigree.
Okay.
Yeah. So even in the big club, there are different types of big.
Okay.
There are big clubs and there are big clubs. So
emphasis on big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emphasis on big.
Okay.
So you also, even you as a club, there's a certain trophy that you have to win to be able to, claim that particular, say, I have European pedigree.
Okay, I see where this is going to, right? So when I was thinking about this, right, I tried to separate trophies from success. All right. Now I know where you're going to, right? Because so let me be the first to say it. Arsenal have never won the Champions League, right?
I wasn't really talking about Arsenal, but then let's go there.
All right, yeah. I know I'm doing this, but for those who are watching this and who and those who are Arsenal fans on our forum who don't want to come on the show. Okay, yeah, exactly. So Arsenal haven't won the Champions League ever in their history. Does that disqualify them from being a big club?
No, it doesn't. But it does disqualify them from certain seats at the table.
Yeah. Oh wow!
Certain ranking.
Yeah,
right.
It does.
Damn, Aubrey.
Because when you're sitting down,
I'm not invited here. Out.
Yeah. when you're sitting down among the Dangotes of this world.
Okay.
You get what we mean?
Yeah, the $10.
Yeah, the $10. There are certain subsections of the Obi Kubana.
Yeah,
you
those
get
ones that.
So they are labels to everything.
Okay.
So there's some certain level of pedigree that you need to show. You can't say, I have European pedigree and you haven't tasted European glory.
Damn, okay. You know what? Let's leave that for
for
the criteria of success. Now, let's move on to fan base. For example, Manchester City and United are in the same city, right? One club has a larger fan base than the other. One is more successful than the other. So City have been winning the EPL more recently than United. But will you say that they are not a big club and United are a big club based on fan base?
Yes. On that note, right, you need to see that it's more of like I know it's a city rivalry. You understand, but history really matters. Do you get? History matters. Man United have had the greater number of supporters, and this is because of their early successes. You understand? Their consistent successes. Everyone wants to associate with a winner. Do you get? So because of that, kids have grown up to see their club win. Most of the EPL icons, like you have names like Sir Bobby Charlton those days. We have Cantona, we have Ronaldo, we have Rooney. You understand? So listen, iconic players, right, really determine how much a fan base grows. You understand?
So what I'm hearing, right, is that it's difficult to strip all these criteria apart because they all, so they all affect the other because it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
So a club will only have a large fan base if they are successful, if they have history, if they have money and all of that, right?
Yes. See, people don't understand when clubs like Real Madrid, right, spend money to buy Galacticos.
Yeah.
Do you get? Because if you buy a big name, you invite a lot of people to watch your games, and very soon people who just come as neutrals, very soon they become fans and they become supporters. So you see, the thing is that fan base is very important. That's why another thing is that people always, when you look and see Premier League teams go to Indonesia, go to China during the preseason, go to America, go to these countries to play preseason, is because you are trying
fan
to
base.
listen. That's why you can have clubs in like all other countries.
Yeah.
They don't have the smallest club in EPL will be bigger than some of this because they are ready to explore, ready to take their stuffs overseas, build something up there. Because when people tend to see these players on screen, right? Oh, he's coming to our country to play.
Yeah.
And if they turn up, from fan, they are becoming supporters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to explore.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to spend a little bit of money on like heroes. You understand? Players that are ready to become quick heroes, come into the club, perform. Like I have a colleague that she supports Warsaw, and every time she tells me about how the daughter is like idolizes like the players, the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is she likes the goalkeeper. He's really good, and she has pictures with him. So you see stuff like that. She has carried her. The father was a Warsaw supporter.
Yeah.
The daughter now is also a Warsaw. So you see, and she already has a childhood hero in the goalkeeper. So
absolutely.
all those things they really matter.
Yeah, and that helps to grow the fan base. I mean, I remember the very first time I watched Man United play was when they came to Nigeria in 2008. 2008. Yeah, I think so. That was after they had won the Champions League, isn't it? Yeah. So I remember then, because I was still in medical school then, and they came to Abuja. So I remember I drove all the way from Jos, a 3-hour trip to Abuja, just to watch them play. And you know what I mean? And the stadium was jam-packed on that day. So it's things like that help. A lot of people, if the club is coming to your country or your city, it just helps to propagate that fan base.
True.
Okay.
It just helps to build, even from neutrals. Oh, even the girl self. Oh, why he's coming to our stadium? Let's go and watch.
Exactly,
Before
exactly.
You know how women are. They want to see those. So you see all those things. They really matter. But fan base is very important. You understand?
Okay.
You see a club like Arsenal, right? People will be like, "Oh, Arsenal have not been winning trophies all these years," and all of a sudden they are successful playing now. And all of a sudden you hear their fans. You know why it's like that? Because they've always had these traditional fans coming a long way, still being patient with the club. And yes, they showed glimpse of good football. Arsenal has to be one of the teams in Premier League that always maintain playing like exciting football.
Yeah, exciting football. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And
okay.
Until lately, though.
Yeah, until now that they are playing haram.
Okay, so hold that over. So before we go on to the next criteria, Aubrey, what do you have to add on that note of fan base?
I think
being a big club.
You made a example about City and United, which is very important. So, like I said earlier about the traditional clubs, where like people or clubs that have been able to create that long-term success over a period of time. People in Manchester mostly grew up watching United.
Yeah.
Because City were just a mid-table club, like relegate and come back. So, but they grew up watching United. They grew up. So those guys are not going to decamp to City. That's why they are traditional fans.
Okay.
You get. So, for people like myself, that I started watching, not just to watch, but I started enjoying football in 2005 forward. And luckily for me, Chelsea started their success towards that period.
Was Mourinho there then?
Yeah. So you see how the trajectory goes, because once you watch a team, and just like you said about players, players can make you. Chelsea started having fans in Africa because I think they were one of the they were one of the first big club in England to actually just invest in African talent. So we had the likes of Drogba, that year, ACN,
Mikel, of course.
Yeah. So me, I just started watching because Drogba, and then there, from just watching to picking up keen interest.
Yeah.
So from that keen interest to being a hard-on this team, like supporter of Chelsea. So that's sometimes that's how fans like fan base are built. Some
Absolutely,
are built
I
from the
agree.
locals.
I agree.
Who lives like, okay, I'm from Worcester. It just makes it just natural for me to support Worcester. If
Absolutely.
they have a football club.
I mean,
You
you're
get what
100% right. I
Yeah.
mean, so the fan base grows based on the players that are in the club.
Yeah.
I hit the nail on the head. When Chelsea signed a lot of African players, I can tell you that the African supporters increased their fan base. It reminds me of when Shinji Kagawa signed for United. The Asian fan base, rose. Okay.
Tottenham is very big in South Korea because of Son.
Absolutely, and that helps. So now, do you want to answer the question now based on fan base now alone? Yes, I know that it's difficult to strip this criteria out, but do you think that fan base makes a club big? Just on that note alone,
I would say no, not a standalone. I can't just put it as a standalone.
True,
Having more fans,
it doesn't necessarily equate to being a big club.
But it adds value.
Okay.
It adds value to you. Because if you have fans, that means you have people that are ready to buy your merchandise.
Okay, exactly. Microphone. Okay. So should we go on to the next criteria now, and just sort of at the end of it, just try to wrap everything up together, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's go to history now. I think Aubrey has already answered this, but I'm still going to ask you regardless, right? Does history give a club permanent big club status? I know Aubrey talked about former. What's your word? You said, I mentioned AC Milan, after but Gabriel. So now does winning previously, cement your status as a big club or not, regardless of if you're winning now?
So, winning previously and still competing.
Okay, I like that. A caveat and still competing.
You get.
Okay.
If you win 5, maybe you went on a 15-20 years run, right? And you have a very steep drop, you just go straight down to the extent that you are scrapping for relegation battle or even get relegated, take time to come back up, which is very rare to see, because if you're winning, you're getting more investment, you're getting more attraction, but if you drop down and you don't even compete, we don't see you come up to the top, you don't see you even get involved in conversations. To be honest, right, it's what happened to AC Milan.
Yeah, I mean, they're a clear example of that.
We use them as an example. It's what happened to them. They dropped down and couldn't even come back up. And even when they won the league, the next year, they are still not going back again to compete.
And also, the quality of players they are signing.
Mike.
The quality of players that this club is signing.
Does matter.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
AC Milan right now, or I think this sometimes it has to also do with the financial aspect of even the leagues.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you right now, a mid-table team in EPL has more spending power than a top team in Serie A at this moment.
Yeah, or the Dutch league, the era this year.
So also, what is your league? What is the league as a body?
Okay.
What are the investments or what are the this thing they are bringing, the value they are bringing to the table? Because just like your question, you say that tack you have being a former big club or having history. I would just bluntly say no, it doesn't.
Okay, fair enough there.
Because
if you're bold enough to say that.
Yes, it gives you the platform.
Yeah.
It gives you the platform to be able to compete over a period of time. But if you don't capitalize, slowly, you may fall into oblivion.
Okay, so what I'm hearing now is that Gabriel has said that if you had been winning before and you are not winning now, but you're still competing, you are still in the conversations, then you could still be seen as a big club. But if you're not in the conversation,
then
you're
there
no longer
was
a big
time
club.
even Madrid
were
mismanaged and they were slowly drifting apart. They had to now say no. they like had to now pull everything back together.
Okay.
Barcelona. now.
So yeah,
Okay.
so all these things happen. Like Man United, that changed. Sir Alex Ferguson, like retired, and since then they haven't really been able to find that manager that will.
That Manchester will say the truth one day. Okay. But one day we'll tell them the truth.
Okay, you know what?
Nobody's saying.
Okay, let's move on to the next criteria, and that will be a current success. And Gabriel, I'm going to go to you on this one. Does current success matter more? For example, PSG have just won the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
So would you say they're a big club because of their current success now?
PSG has only been in existence for less than 30 years. You understand? That's why no matter how much success they're getting now, they are in they're in the conversation.
Yes,
I know their
they've been
high
competing.
rise is really quick because you need to look at the financial backing. You understand? They are in the conversation because PSG, they've had Messi, they've had Neymar, they've had Mbappe.
Yeah, they have Kylian, yeah.
It just felt like the only thing they needed to win was that Champions League for everyone to like quickly be like, okay, bros, you guys are in now. You've won the ticket.
Okay, so will you call them a big club now that
Listen,
they've won the Champions League?
I will call them a big club even before
Okay.
winning the Champions League. You get?
Okay.
There are other clubs in France that have had the opportunity to have a high rise, stay for some time before dropping. You have Lyon, you have Marseille, you get. But you need to understand that former big club, we'll put that into the conversation now.
Yeah.
Former big club. But for me,
Yeah,
I will call PSG a big club. The reason is that they are not just, you would say that who are they playing against in France? Farmers League, that's what you say. But in the past, how many years that PSG have been playing in the Champions League?
They've been
competing.
in the conversation, right?
They've been in the Champions League final 2 times in the last 5 years.
All right.
Do you understand?
Okay.
5 or 6 years. They played against Bayern and lost. I can remember how many times they've been competing. They were in the semi-final when Mourinho was the coach, or quarterfinal. The next year they knocked Chelsea when Mourinho was the coach, and
PSG.
That's the one at Atletico removed us in the semi-final. Do you remember?
When Mourinho managed PSG.
Yeah, like when they played Chelsea. I mean PSG. When they played. So you see,
Okay.
like I'm just talking about history of how long they've been. Yeah, I know the high rise, like the quick rise, is there, but sometimes you can if you have nitro in your car, you can just speed past a lot of people. You don't. They've gotten the history by being successful and consistent, and they don't look like they are slowing down anytime soon. Do you understand?
Okay.
They don't look that way. So they will just pass into that conversation because of, I would say, how successful they've been and the prospect of them remaining successful. Do you understand?
Okay.
So that's why I'll put them, because that's the only big club coming out of France as it stands.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay.
Others have history, but they don't have finance, they don't have success. They might have the fan base because of history, how long they've been in the play. But PSG now, they are building something huge. They've been there for a long time. They've also had big names coming. Beckham has played there.
Yeah, Messi has.
Ronaldinho played there. Zlatan played there.
Okay, I think
even Arsenal coach played there. Pochettino played there.
yeah, now that you mentioned this, right, I'm just thinking if I should have added to the criteria players who have played in the club, if that constitutes them being a big club or not. But we'll leave that for another day.
I said something like that.
Did you? Okay.
Remember when I said something about having heroes and...
Oh yes, you
big
did.
names?
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah. So maybe that should have been a criteria as well. Anyway, Aubrey, what's your take on current success of a club in terms? I mean, as that relates to being a big club.
Yeah, I think is important, very important, because to maintain your standard, you have to show consistency, you have to show longevity. But football like in itself, is a very funny sport.
Yeah.
Why I call it like that is that you can win the Premier League today. The season has finished. Next season kicks up in 3 months, and that becomes history.
Yeah. At Liverpool.
Yes, that becomes history. You need to do it again.
Yeah, you have to do it again. Okay.
And do it again. You have to maintain a certain level. So it's understandable when people are just questioning Pep Guardiola. This is the man that just won 4 Premier League titles, in the bounce.
True.
So that's
here
football.
Now, yeah.
That's football. Football, like anything that was won last season, is history. So it's about what you're winning now.
Okay.
But it's still part of this thing. It's not like, oh, if you're not winning now, you're no longer a big club. No. But going a certain number of years without lifting a major trophy can have even financial implications.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you are investing in a squad and you're not getting, dividends from your investment, you're buying players 100 million, 150, and then these players are not winning you big titles, then questions will be asked.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to the final criteria, and that's money. So a rich club, is a rich club a big club? I mean, so when you look at the likes of Newcastle, who are owned by their owners are from the Middle East.
Yeah.
You look at Man City, PSG. So are they big clubs because of the financial backing
I wouldn't say
they have?
Yeah, the financial backing itself, it's a different thing. But how much the club as an institution is turning over in a year.
So talking about dividends now.
Yeah. It's not because I'm a billionaire and I buy a certain company doesn't make that company rich. It makes the company rich if I'm able to turn that company into turning very big profit.
Yeah.
So it's not about the owners of Newcastle are rich, but how much is Newcastle turning over in a year?
Fantastic.
That's what matters. So we have, if you check top 10 rich clubs with good net profit.
Yeah, Man United should be in there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Man United is in there. Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, Man City. Man City has gone up in that aspect too.
Okay.
So yeah, and if you notice, it's actually like a pattern. Almost all the clubs in the top 10 are big clubs.
Okay, let's go on. Okay, so we've dissected this criteria that I came up with, but it's difficult to strip them all individually.
Let me say something about financial aspect. Financial aspect is like what he said. You go buy a company, right? You're a billionaire. You buy a company. You start throwing money into the company, and nothing is coming out. Very soon, you will not be a billionaire again. You yourself, you will soon enter millionaire, and before you know, it's either you dump it. But the thing with Newcastle is that they've only just gotten these investors coming to the club, and they are quite unlucky a bit because they just got the club when they've been stricter PSR restrictions on how much you can throw into the club. You understand? You cannot just pack all your money, put inside, buy player.
Yeah.
You are buying players, and also it has to also, some of the money has to come out from the club itself.
Yeah.
So if Newcastle are going to go up, right, it is going to be maybe based on how well they are playing. Let me give you an example. When Chelsea had Roman, right, Chelsea did not just carry money and buy 10 odd very good expensive players. They still had players that came from small clubs, players that they didn't buy for big money, but they came in. The reason they were successful was because they were not just buying big names.
They had a good scouting system.
Yes, they were buying players that are winners. and they had a young coach that also has a winning mentality.
That was Mourinho, yeah?
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you see, now when you have these players, they turn over in success and turn over in merchandise, selling all those things. Chelsea had Arjen Robben when he was quite young. John Terry wasn't a household name when Chelsea had him. Lampard wasn't. Who knew Drogba? Drogba was in Marseille. He only came to limelight after playing the Champions League with Marseille that season. So
Okay.
you get what I'm saying. So you have to have, even Man City, even when they came, Man City didn't really have big names like that. Michael Richard played for Man City that
Michael
period.
Richards, yeah.
You understand? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need to see that when the money
Alright.
comes in, it has to be over some time before you will be able to start. The one that's FA Cup sold Isak for that money. Understand? But they only had to go in and buy players that will actually come and make a difference, which they didn't do. They didn't really buy players that came in and made difference. They bought Elanga. Man, Elanga is bang average. You understand?
Alright.
You see players that came in, they are bang average players. If they had taken that money, buy 2 or 3 very good players that come in, they are consistent, they make a difference. Next year, they can compete, but from reaching the Champions League and dropping down to mid-table, which is going to still affect their ability to compete next year.
Okay. All right. So let me ask some random questions now, and I'll start with you, Aubrey. So are there clubs that fans call big clubs, but they aren't actually big clubs anymore?
Anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
or not even big clubs at all, but fans regard them as big clubs.
I think judging from some aspect, some fans, there's what we call Big Six in England. So the Big Six club, which is Chelsea, City, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Tottenham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I've never seen Tottenham as a big club.
Before you know, I was going to ask that question next.
Yeah, I've never seen Tottenham as a big club. Yes, there were certain period of time
Where they had Harry Kane.
where they competed.
Yeah.
But they have never really been the club where you say, okay, and then they made that big investment in their stadium. Wonderful stadium also.
Yeah, maybe that should have been a criteria as well.
So,
stadium, having a good stadium. Okay, Gabriel is itching to say something. Mike.
See that Big Six? That Big Six didn't come mainly because of Tottenham. It came because certain clubs were zuzuing.
They were falling off.
And
There was a time Liverpool
it
was
was
falling off.
it was Big Four.
Yeah.
You understand? It was the top 4.
Top 4, yeah.
But at some clubs,
Tottenham broke into the
top 4 and stayed there for some time and pushed Chelsea and Man United.
Yeah,
and Liverpool.
There was a time.
They pushed Liverpool out.
Yeah, and to accommodate them, you have to say big six.
we have to. Now you're even calling Big 7.
Okay. Hold that thought now, right? So still another question now I want to ask you guys: is Chelsea bigger than Arsenal? Point blank.
It depends on there are a lot of. See, the thing is that Chelsea and Arsenal's conversation, right?
Okay.
I think it's a conversation that no side will want to agree. You understand? Because if you're talking about success, Arsenal can say, "Oh, we've been more successful in winning Premier Leagues."
Not Premier Leagues.
I'm coming to something. League than Chelsea. You understand?
Okay.
But Chelsea can say, I have been successful in Europe, internationally, outside the country, than you. Now, I'm a Chelsea fan, right? And I'll be sincere. When you talk about, for me, it's anyone's opinion, it's their opinion. But when you talk about the tradition, right, of a club, the tradition, how much history that club has, you understand, and maintaining an identity, you get me?
Yeah.
Arsenal edges past Chelsea with that. Do you understand? Arsenal hardly they have philosophy, especially in their play. Do you understand? again, Arsenal also have the fan base to back the claim.
Okay.
Chelsea does as well. So with that one, I can't say anyone is bigger than anyone. Arsenal have fan base, and Chelsea does as well.
Okay.
Chelsea might be unlucky slightly that where their club, the stadium is located, you cannot really develop because it's really more crowded. It's like it's in the heart of London.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about the club. Arsenal, yeah, they have a bigger stadium and all, but now the thing is that for me and people in my generation, right, I would say I will beat my chest and say that with the successes Chelsea have had recently, right, in general,
Yeah.
Chelsea has advanced away from Arsenal because of the. Remember what I said about former big. We talked about former big clubs.
Yeah.
You understand? You drop, but are you still staying in the picture?
Yeah, sort of like you lose, you snooze.
Chelsea have not gone 3 years since when they started playing this Champions League back to back. They've not gone 3 years without being in the Champions League. Beyond 3 years, let me say beyond 3 years. But Arsenal have gone. The last time before this other time that they played, it was when Bayern removed them in that 10-2. They were scrapping between.
Okay.
You get Chelsea. There is no time that Chelsea is in the Champions League that they don't get to the quarterfinal.
Okay. All right. Let's move this on. Aubrey, do you want to add to that, or should I just move on?
Well, I would just say something very short. I know we're running out of time, but I think you failed to mention one particular factor that I personally feel is very important. Because when you're talking about a football club as an institution, it's not just about buying players. You also need to consider your academy.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
important.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a criteria as well.
Yes, it must be a criteria. Like you need to consider the your scouting network.
Okay.
Then your academy. How many world-class players have you produced? It's not just about like making it in the club, even though going on to make it somewhere else. But at least in recent time, I can say Chelsea have produced like players like John Terry, one of the like best centre backs in Premier League history. Chelsea have produced players like Reece James. He's now the club captain. He's from the academy.
Okay.
And then like if I can go on to mention even for other clubs, Declan Rice is from Chelsea academy. So
Musiala is there.
yeah, all these things also factor into you being that complete institution, and then getting that tag as a big club.
Okay.
But
All right.
we can move ahead.
Okay, so just because we're running out of time, so
Yeah.
let's just go to a quick fire segment now. Now, I'm going to list out some clubs, right? And I want you both to tell me big club or not, just in 2-3 words. That's all, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah. So Tottenham Hotspur, big club or not?
not a big club.
Put that shit away.
Not a big club, okay? And Newcastle United, big club or not?
Not a big club.
Okay.
Traditional club, but no longer a big club.
Okay. Aston Villa, big club or not?
Not a big club.
Okay. Manchester United, big club or not?
Aging towards not being a big club. Well,
They are just there for now.
yeah.
Okay.
Aging towards not being a big club, but well,
Former
yeah.
big club.
Okay. Worcestershire Nigeria FC.
We are going there. Our records might not be pointing in that direction, but after our emphatic win,
8-2, by the way.
we are
If you
looking
missed
to pile
it,
on that success.
yeah, if you missed it, just click on this icon here and watch the video on YouTube. Okay. Manchester City, big club or not?
Big club.
Big club.
Arsenal, big club or not?
club.
Big club.
Okay. Okay, so right. So I know that the Champions League starts soon, right?
Let's talk about other countries like
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. Okay, so fine. I mean, so I was just trying to focus on the Premier League alone. All right, so let's go. Should we go to
Atletico
Spain?
Madrid, a big club.
Atletico Madrid.
Yes.
That's one of the most difficult conversations.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Atletico
probably
Madrid.
do another
a
show
big
for
club.
that. I don't even know.
We can talk about it next time.
Okay, Madrid.
Yeah, Madrid
is the biggest club in
for
the
me, it's the
world.
biggest club in the world. Yeah,
Okay, so should we? Okay, I mean in
I think
Spain,
I
right?
think
I have
the
a question.
viewers
Yeah, go
can
ahead.
comment if they feel Atletico Madrid is a big club.
Yeah,
Do you guys
Yeah,
think,
comment your thoughts.
do you guys think
Borussia Dortmund is a big club. That's one question.
Borussia Dortmund.
I think they've won Champions League before.
Have they?
Yeah,
they
they
have.
have.
Oh yes, I think they did. Yes,
Twice.
yes. I think I remember. Okay, that's
That
fine.
one was Bayern that won against them.
Yeah, Bayern won against.
Yeah,
Yes, I remember that.
and
Yeah.
they have played Champions League final just 2
Against-
seasons ago.
Against
Yes.
Madrid, they
Madrid,
lost.
yeah.
They lost 1-0.
Is it 1 or 2?
I think it was 2-1
Yeah,
or so.
yeah. No, 2-0.
I can't remember scoreline.
it's 2-0, yeah.
But yeah, they played. So
For me, right, I think that because this is the Champions League week we're going into next week, I just think that big clubs should be in the conversation of the Champions League.
You always have to be there. You get.
But Dortmund, over the last couple
they're
of
always
years,
there.
they're always there. They're always in the conversation.
Okay, before we round up, right? If you could start a football club today, right? What would you like focus on to make your club a big club? So would it be players? Like, would it be fan base? Would it be trophies, or just the brand itself, like WNFC? With good branding.
Okay. The thing is that you said start.
Yeah,
You didn't say invest in an existing club,
Okay.
right? Start.
yeah,
The first thing you want, for me, right, is a club philosophy.
right.
You need to have an identity of how you want your club to play. You see clubs like Barcelona. I love Barcelona so much because no matter how it is, they still have an identity. Do you understand? That's one thing, an identity of the kind of football you want to play. You also want to have an identity of who invests, what sort of investors you have in the club. Are you going to be pure business, or a mix of business and passion, or just passion? In this age and time, you can't be just business, you can't be just passion. You understand? You have to be a mix of both. You have to be ready to go for the win and also make bucks off it. So you see, club identity, the business aspect, right? And another thing I want to say is that you have to also learn that patience is very important. You understand? Because when you start as a club, there's a chance that you might go up a little bit and drop down or whatsoever. Whatever league you get into, you have to remember that you're coming back. You have to always show up. But club identity is very important. Who invests in your club is also very important. Who invests is very important. Those are my own two things that I know that you pay attention to.
Okay, and Aubrey, if you were to start a club today, like what would you focus on if your drive is to make that club a big club?
I think everything boils down to branding. Yeah, when you have an idea and then you want to create something, I think your focus shouldn't be about how many fans you can get on board. It's about creating a brand, and your brand should capture your ideology of the kind of club you like you're creating. And then once you focus on this, then the fans will come naturally. I would prefer to have natural fans than having people come around because
Obviously, we are a grassroots. We are an independent, non-FA affiliated grassroots football club. I'm talking about WNFC now, and we're all players of that club. At our level, at our own standing, do you think that we're a big club? Like comparing us to our peers.
Well, to what we stand to give to the community, which we have been doing. We are a community club, so. Our goals are different from the professional clubs, and we are serving what we are meant to serve.
100%.
And we are doing that exceptionally well.
I think we're a big club at our level. I think we're massive. We're huge.
I'll say all thanks to our CEO. No, see, for real, I've always said it that we will not come this far. Because we are like the pioneers of this club proper. Every one of us sitting right now, we've been here from the start.
Yeah, from day one.
And you need strong people like consistent people for it to keep going. We've seen people come in and go.
Yeah.
You get maybe because of moving away, or maybe
Or whatever.
or maybe one or two things that made some people come in and go. Maybe they didn't agree so much with certain decisions
yeah.
being made within the club. Again, we've always tried our best to maintain order. 1, 2, we have an identity. We know that we are doing this to keep a community going. You understand? Have each other's back. And we've been trying to make sure that that happens. We have people that we are probably going through one thing or the other, but when you come into the pitch and play for a few minutes, and for real, if you look at our neighboring clubs and other communities, when they hear of what we do, right, how we are organized, well run.
Yeah.
You get, if we compare ourselves to the,
well funded.
for real, we are doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. By the way, if you're watching this and you're in the region, you're in the Worcestershire region, and you're keen to be involved in grassroots football, you're welcome to join us. Okay, we are open
to anybody.
You know, all abilities or lack thereof.
Yeah. So I just want to add that it's not just football that we offer here. We also offer that sense of community.
Yeah. 100%.
We also we can, we just go out and just, try to keep each other in check. So
all right. So I think we can end the show now. I think we've gone too long on this episode. But any final words from any of you, just in 30 seconds, and then we can wrap up.
Well, yeah, I think it's been a very good conversation today, talking about clubs and their pedigrees, and I think just talking about this just made me realize that these football clubs is not easy to run a football club. It's
Tell
not
me about
easy.
it.
It's not easy to maintain a standard. It's not easy to have, because some of these clubs, they were formed hundreds or 150 years ago.
Yeah, true.
So to be in existence up till now and still competing, it should be, I think, like a lesson to all of us to learn about longevity, even creating that pathway that even our kids or our grandkids can follow. It's very demanding. So I think this has been able to just tell us that it's not just okay to exist, but it can be very beneficial if we as individuals create long-standing legacies.
Fantastic. Gabriel, any final words in 20 seconds?
Well, for me, I think is that after having this conversation, we can see how much of an impact football has in the community.
True.
Do you get? And when you see people that have something to bond over, do you understand? You see families that go for the match day with their parents, their grandparents, and everything.
Yeah.
It has a way of keeping the family together. You have something in common. And one thing with football is that you could see people of different race, different nationality, different beliefs, different genders, different religion, but they still scream together when a goal goes.
One language.
When a ball goes into the net.
Yeah, one language, absolutely.
And we use this as a campaign to say that we should try and cut out hate, be it racial hate, be it whatever hate that is in football.
There's no place for that in football.
It's football. We are all supposed to enjoy the game. And for you to enjoy wins, you have to lose. So someday you lose, but that doesn't mean you should lash out and go saying hateful things to people. We all have to take it in a good faith, sportsmanship.
True. Okay, on that note, we shall wrap the show up now. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next episode, take care of yourselves and each other.